Okay, my question to you then this morning is, um, what do you think, I mean, we've had this conversation before. What's the biggest issue you're dealing with today?
Biggest issue I'm dealing with today. Um, Today is for one, it's right now it's all scheduling issues. It's all setting up schedule out ahead, barring weather, barring different crews. Um, uh, like I had a thing yesterday where I've got a job going in Winfield, um, but it's on a roof and it was so windy that we just decided not to put the guys up there. So we kept them in town and we got a job started that the other crew was going to come in and do starting today. So um, it's just things like that. How do I account for all that? It's transition from how do I get work to, okay, now that I've got all this work, how do I keep it straight and how do I tell them when I'm going to be there? So it's the ever evolving circle of problems here. We never
Yes,
run out of problems.
that's right.
We just transition.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is a lot of it is learning and, um, you know, I'm just thinking about different things, um, as far as, I mean, there are a few different things that, um, could factor into that. One of the things that I use a lot, and sure you've heard me say, but it's being flexibly rigid. It is that
Yes.
whole thing of being clear on those priorities. What are the number one priorities? How do you then keep those as priorities while also being flexible with things like having to reschedule projects and so on. Um, and because the more of that you do, the more time is consumed in starting and stopping and
Yeah.
relocating and moving and all of those types of things.
Yeah,
So
you got to mobilize to a job 4 times when you should
yeah,
only have to do it. Yeah.
yeah, and set up and tear down, getting ready. I mean, those are big things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As far as time consumption.
Yeah. I didn't used to account for that. And it, you know, probably
Yeah.
why I'm broke. So one of the reasons.
Yeah. So, and it is, yeah, there are a lot of challenges, of course, in
Yeah.
in
The
in
scheduling really gets me because I don't want to spend, you know, yeah. I think when you're kind of well, when you're a smaller company, you're wearing so many hats and you don't want to know going in, okay, if I schedule this out for 2 weeks from now, I'm going to have to spend 5 hours over the next 2 weeks calling and rescheduling and pushing around and to keep them in the loop. And they're going to think I'm flaky because, well, it rained 2 days and this material didn't come in and, you know, so and I hate that. Um, but yet they need to know when to expect me. And it's not good enough to say, I'll call you the day before. That's not how that works. So
right. And I think your point is very valid and very important. Communication is key to all of this, and it takes time.
yeah,
You got to communicate with the production crews. You got to communicate with the customers. You've got to, um, and that is extremely important because, um, like I say, and you've got to kind of balance that with, and I think setting expectations before you ever start. You know, because most construction customers have no idea
Right.
what is involved. So just to the point of weather and just to the point of, unforeseen things that come up, um, and a customer's expecting you to be there next week on Monday, and you had 2 days of rain this week that you can't work, and then you also uncovered some additional rot and damage that you've got to repair that's going to take another day. So when you don't show up on Monday and you call them Monday and say we're going to be a couple 3 days late, they just think that you're, like you said a while ago, you're flaky. You just like you
Right.
didn't know what you were talking about.
See,
So preemptively going, okay, it's raining, so I'm going to call the customer and say we're going to be pushed back a little bit. Now, depending on their job options, just like you were talking about, you could go start their job early, but then you're going to have a gap in it somewhere because you got to
Yeah.
get back on the other job. But I think those, depending on the jobs, depending on what it is, if you call them and kind of include them and say, here's where we're at, we could come do a little bit of stuff there, but it's going to leave you kind of tore open for a few days.
right.
But we could do that and then come back. Might be a situation where they would go, nah, we'll just wait. But
Yeah.
or yeah, that would be fine. Go ahead and come start, and then, but I think that gives them a sense of having some control, which they need.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now, what's interesting is the example you used of we uncovered some rot. It's going to take us an extra day. That was Friday. That happened Friday. That house I was telling you about, that lady, when we uncovered the rot and we said, okay, we got to do this because the contractor before us had just covered it up. That lady turned to her husband and says, I told you we should just built a new one. But
But just like that, building a new one is still going to have its challenges that they
right.
just.
But that put them back till, we had to jump the other crew over there because we were supposed to start another job Monday.
Yeah.
But that rot ran us over. So we jumped them over. So I went through that exact scenario. And while you were talking, I got a text message from a customer saying, any update on the schedule? So,
and just like that, even if it's a simple, and anytime you can do it ahead of time is better,
absolutely. Absolutely.
so that they're not wondering. And if you can just,
And it was on my list to do,
yeah,
yeah. So,
yeah, I get it. And so, yeah, I mean, everything else, there's no silver bullet specific one thing that's going to make it all, but it's about, communication is such a big part of everything that the struggles that we have,
I heard a guy the other day say there is no magic business dust you can sprinkle on. He says,
Yeah.
and if there was, you couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So,
but that is so much of what is marketed out there is, this one thing is going to fix all the problems. And yeah, it just doesn't work that way.
same way with AI. That's the way it's marketed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. And Emily and I were talking yesterday about the computer and comparing it with, AI and different things and how, you know, 50 years ago, we wouldn't be having this meeting like this.
Right.
We wouldn't be able to write things on the computer. We would have to write a letter and mail it. We would, and so these tools have improved things, but at the same time, they can, like I said a while ago, they can be a fly in the ointment as well. And so,
yes, absolutely.
So anyway, one of the things that Emily, we were talking about social media and some of our posts and so on. And we were just talking about the different where we're getting traction. And since we have been posting, what did she tell me this morning? It's over 1,000 posts. Our number one, the content is that consistently scores the highest or gets the most is things that are related to finances.
Mhm.
And so, and there's no doubt but what that is a huge
Yeah.
part of the, because we don't stay in business if we don't earn money, if we don't, break, I mean, have a profit. But there's a lot more to the success of a company than just the money. And
Right.
so, but I think out of that one of the things I'm looking at, and I probably have told you this before, but I'm thinking it in a month from today, I'm going to look at doing a savings transfer introduction, kind of a short hour and a half or something overview of what that tool is for, and then maybe trying to have a online course that would follow that up. The people could kind of take at their own rate and or speed or whatever, and so. But anyway, so anything else that you've got
Uh,
that
Hang on, I'm writing.
I know you are?
Um, I got hung up for a minute because I couldn't think of how to spell corresponding.
Yeah, well,
Um,
yeah. So you just
um,
kind of abbreviate it and not close enough you can remember what you meant.
uh, I'm hoping. Uh, I'm hoping in an hour I'll remember what it says, but
Yeah,
um, that's what I do is I write these like almost like it's supposed to be. I'm trying to write my best, but it basically turns out to be symbols that remind me of what I was thinking is about as close as I can get because it
yeah.
does not look like words.
Well, and sometimes I will make a note and write it out on the computer, and then I'll come back to it a week later and go,
What?
what is that about?
Yeah. Um, other um information. I tell you, I had I'm finally kind of putting stuff together a little bit. Um, I've had a couple of breakthroughs, some not so good. Um, now that I'm got my production and got a better way of estimating and a better way of tracking, and I've managed to put together my man hours on projects, and I'm hitting them consistently. Um, so then I looked and I started doing the math, whenever I'm job costing and things, and I wasn't charging enough once it's all, but I had to have something to build off of consistent to be able to figure that out. So I'm on to that stage. Like I said, I'm on my second lap, kind of
Right,
eliminating the
right,
second round of problems. So, but we're getting there. We're a lap closer than we were.
right. Well, and to the amount you charge, the balance. There's a balancing act in how much you charge and how much it's costing you to do it. In other words, you can't just keep charging more because eventually you price
Out
yourself
of
out of the
Yeah,
market.
right.
And so on the other side of it is how are we more efficient and productive with what we're spending so that you
Right.
can keep those two things in check, but you gotta, having the information allows you to begin to search that and figure out where that
And try
is.
to Yeah, you got to try to find the little lane that you need to stay in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's starting to come together. It helps that in the last 3 weeks, probably, I've seen 400% increase in the amount of leads I'm getting.
Mhm.
That helps. One less problem, you know?
Yeah.
But I've got to prepare for that and take advantage of it and try to get my marketing in place for whenever that slows down. I
Right.
still need to keep the constant flow. So right now it's just a lucky streak and I know it. But
Well,
it does give me some breathing room to get some stuff straightened out.
I think it's probably a combination of things. There's no doubt but what leads ebb and flow.
Mhm.
But the more work you do, the more connections you have, the more people that can, you know, share that information, the more consistently and the higher the numbers are, even if it is ebbing and flowing, it still gives you more to work with. So,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You got a lot more leeway when you're, you know, in deeper water, you got more leeway.
yeah, yeah. So,
So,
well, not to cut this short, but don't want to run over
yeah,
too long, because I do have some other stuff I need to do. But it,
I've got a bid at 11. So, and then I've
well,
got a meeting at 1:30. So,
yes, and to that point, we've got some stuff to go over.
good, good. Um,
Yeah,
I wish I could have spent a little time tracking down some of the other jobs, or some of the other incomes that we've had come in, adjustments and small things and the things that a lot of times they just don't get tracked or accounted for on the back end, which is what I've been dealing with for used to nothing got accounted for. So
right.
we're getting closer.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had a
But we do
realtor
have
call
your,
me. I had a realtor text me yesterday and say, I was looking at this house today. There was a stem wall replaced. Did you replace the stem wall at 508 North Birch? I couldn't tell her. I didn't remember the job, but that don't mean nothing.
right.
And I did not have the paperwork. That was, 5 years ago. I didn't have the paperwork. I didn't have, it wasn't tracked. And oh, April lit into me, said it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed. It was,
Well, and it's another one of those things, and it all takes time. And I tend to be I probably go, well, I know I'm an extreme record keeper.
right.
And that
So's April.
well, and it can cost time and money. But right now, I've got Georgia that's working part time, here in the office, and she comes in a day or two a week and spends an hour, and she's doing some stuff. And one of the things she's doing is I've got her going through old job books. I mean, I've got books of completed projects, and there's a lot of paperwork that was just miscellaneous handwritten notes and stuff. I've got
Yeah.
her scanning all of that, and we're putting it in the computer. So she's scanning it, and then I'm just putting in the different folders. Where I'm going with this is my sister that we did the job for built her dog boarding facility back in 2019,
Mhm.
and she is getting ready to. She's going to uh, close it down this fall, and so she's been talking to some different people about maybe selling some of her equipment and so on. And there's a lady and her husband that are in Ark City that are looking at opening up a facility here in the next month or two. She
They're
also
by the
does
roundabout.
grooming. What's that?
Yeah. They're by the roundabout.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
And anyway, they've been up to see Ann's building. And one of the things we put in the concrete floor through where the pins are is a trench strain,
Yeah.
Finco brand. But Ann said they were looking at that and wanted to know information about where it came from, what it was, et cetera, et cetera. So Ann had asked me. So where I'm going with this is I pulled up her job on the computer, was going through some of those scanned files, found
There you
this in
go.
my scanned files, printed it off. Then it's got a website link on it or address. I pulled that up, found the information from that company because they do other stuff too, sent that to Ann. But my point is, I had all that information and I could find it
you
on her
can-
job.
You can find a specific part on a job from 6 years ago. I couldn't even tell you if I did it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I have situations where I look back on jobs that I did and go, what did we do? What was that?
Yeah.
But having that information, because, and that's what a lot of people go, well, why would you bother keeping that kind of stuff? This is why. This is why.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't always mean it's easy to find, but if you can do a little searching and so on, yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go work on your proposal.
Yep. I gotta get a bid. I got
20 minutes.
20 minutes to get over to Chestnut Street. So,
All right. Well, I'll let you go
Yeah.
so you can go to Chestnut Street. And I will see you again this afternoon,
all right.
and we will talk production tracking.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds riveting. Looking
Very.
forward to it. Yeah. All right. We'll see you.
All right. See you then.